Last year, I was a freshman in college. I lived in a dorm by myself. I enjoyed not having a roommate because I had more space to myself and could come and go as I pleased. The dorm building was very old, and I lived on the fourth floor. My hallway was almost all people without roommates, so it was pretty quiet most of the time. One night, I was doing some studying late at night at my desk. At about 11 p.m., I turned off my lamp and decided to go to bed. But right after I turned my light off, I heard a noise come from the corner of my room. I turned my light right back on. It was my water bottle falling off my dresser. I was so confused as to how this could have happened. It couldn't have been the wind, because my window was closed. I went over and put my bottle back on the dresser, and then went to go brush my teeth. When I came back, the bottle was on the floor again. I was a little bit creeped out. I moved the bottle and then got in bed to go to sleep. Just when I was getting really relaxed and about to fall asleep, I heard my doorknob being turned. I looked up to see the door being opened slowly. Then it was extremely creeped out. I had locked the door, like I always do when I got back. I walked out and looked into the hallway. It was empty. I went back to my room and shut the door, and turned all of the lights on. I wasn't able to fall asleep for about another hour. The next day, I told some of the guys that live on my floor what happened, and they said that some similar things have happened to them. The college campus I live on is very old and is said to be haunted. I have always been skeptical about that sort of stuff, but what I witnessed, I have no explanation for. I went to a private university in college. It was very nice, and I really enjoyed going there. But I will never forget this creepy incident. One day I got back from the cafeteria at about 7 p.m. As I was walking up to my dorm room, I saw a man walking in the hallways. I should mention that I'm a female, and my entire dorm building was female only. I guessed you were just visiting somebody, which is not that strange at all. But the weird part was that the man appeared to be in his 30s. Nevertheless, I ignored him and walked to my room. It was a Friday, and my roommate had gone home for the weekend. I got all my homework done for the weekend, and then started watching Netflix. About an hour into that, I left my room to go to the bathroom. It was right across the hall, which was very nice. I got back to my room and unpaused my show, and got back into it. 10 minutes or so went by, and I heard something from the other side of my room. I was too focused on the show to really notice it. That is, until I heard it again. and this time it was louder. I turned my head to see what it was, and I couldn't believe what I saw. It was a man coming out from behind my roommate's desk. In fact, it was the man that I saw in the hallway earlier. He had a smile on his face and was walking right towards me. I screamed and ran for the door as fast as I could. I was just barely able to make it out of my room, and I slammed the door on the man behind me and ran away down the hall. He did not chase after me. I heard him yell at me that it was a mistake, and he thought that I was someone else. I wasn't buying that, from the creepy smile he had on his face. I ran to a friend's dorm, who lived on the floor above mine, and we called the campus police. It didn't take long for them to arrive, and they found the man leaving the building. When they got there, it turns out someone let him in the building, and he got in my room because I have left my door unlocked when I went to use the restroom. I am a senior in college currently. This story happened to me when I was a sophomore. It was the beginning of the second semester of classes. I lived in a pretty standard dorm building at the time. It had 5 floors and a basement. The dorms were pretty old, and the basement was known to be very creepy. The laundry room was down there for kids, on the first 2 floors, so I had to use them. One night I was playing video games in my room, and decided to do my laundry. The laundry room was right at the bottom of the stairs, and was basically the only room that people used in the basement. The rest of it was just hallways, and rooms used as storage, and it was very dark and creepy. I went down, put my stuff in the laundry, and then went back up to set the timer and continue gaming. When my timer went off 40 minutes later, I went back down to get my laundry. But when I arrived in the laundry room, I saw that the washer had been opened, and all of my clothes had been thrown around. I was pretty angry about this, and I looked around, but didn't see anybody. Then I heard the sound of laughter coming from outside the room. I walked over to the hallway. It was dark, but I saw a man about 30 feet away down, smiling and laughing, holding one of my socks and waving it around. He had to be at least 40 years old, and he looked completely insane. He started to walk towards me. I turned and went up the stairs. I ran to Myra's room and knocked, but he didn't answer. It was pretty late at night, and I figured he was asleep. So I decided to call the campus police instead. I went to my room and called them, and they said they would have somebody on the way. Just when I hung up, I heard the door to my room jiggle. I went over and looked out, the people. The man was there. He started banging on my door. I looked around my room to try to find a weapon. Then I heard the noises of people shouting in the hall. I walked over to the door again and saw the man in the struggle, with about 2 students. I went out and tried to help them. The man put up a fight, but eventually we were able to overpower him. The police arrived and took him away shortly after. It turned out to be a crazy, homeless man that was on drugs. Nobody knows how he was able to sneak into the dorms, though. I'm going to tell you about my scariest memory of college. I went to college about 20 years ago, and this happened during the first semester of my freshman year. It was nighttime, about 9 p.m. I was in my dorm, which had 6 floors of rooms, and a few lounges here and there. I lived with my roommate, who was a pretty cool guy on the first floor. On this night, I had to print a homework assignment, and the only printers were downstairs in the lobby. So I went downstairs to take care of that. When I got down there, I saw a man standing in the doorway. When I got down there, I saw I noticed, "You look much older than most of the college students." That is, until I saw the pizza in his hand and realized that he was a pizza man. It was pretty common for college kids to order pizza to the dorms. He waved at me, and I shook my head to say no. I was not there for the pizza. But then he knocked on the door and urged me over. I went to the door and opened it. I told him that I didn't order pizza. He said that was fine, but the kid who ordered had him delivered to his room, and he needed to get in the building. I knew how strange that sounded looking back, but I was much younger then, and I didn't think much of it at the time. He walked away, and I went back to printing my assignment. Once I finished, I went back to my room. My roommate and I hung out and played some video games until about 11. When we got tired, so we shut out the light to go to sleep. I woke some time later to the sound of our doorknob being twisted. I was confused, and I looked at my roommate's bed to see if it was him. He was still sleeping. I decided to try to ignore the sound and go back to sleep, but it didn't stop. After a few minutes, I started to get concerned. I got out of bed to look out to see who it was. Then, I saw was the pizza man that I had let in the building. I had no idea why he was trying to get in my room. I went over to wake up my roommate. I shook him, and he was very confused at first. He sat up, and just then our door opened up. The man started to walk in, but looked surprised to see us both awake. My roommate shouted at the man to leave. He responded by saying he wasn't going to, and we had to do what he said. Danny showed us a bag he was carrying and told us we did not want to know what he had in there. I took this as some sort of a threat. I didn't know quite what to do. Then my roommate started towards our window, which happened to be open slightly, because it was a hot night. He pushed it open farther and jumped out. I saw the man start to pursue, and without even thinking, I followed my roommate out the window. We ran around campus and saw the man chasing after us. We kept going as fast as we could, until we found a better lit street, and were able to see a campus patrol car. He saw us in a panic and stopped. At this point, the man was gone from chasing us. We explained the situation and more. Police were called to the dorm building to look around. After the search, though, the man was not found, and he was able to get away. I felt bad for letting him into the building, but I'm glad nobody got her.